RAM Global was set up, actually formulated 40 years ago this year, or excuse me, 30 years ago this year in Taipei, when Australians and I got together and we took on their name, RAM Global, Rotarians Action Group on Malaria, or Rotarians Against Malaria. In the last 30 years, Rotarians have played key roles in malaria. What we do is we add significant things that other groups don't seem to be able to do, such as introduce mosquito nets to vaccination campaigns, take malaria to zero, like the Australians from RAM Australia, ROXRAM, have been able to take malaria completely to zero there, which is a series of well-orchestrated, incisive, and diligently executed campaigns. So we know how to get malaria to zero. We know how to get mosquito nets out. We are now in the position to bring a lot more people in. We've taken the membership in the last 5 years up by a factor of, no, it's more than 10. It's more like 15 or 20. In the last year, we've tripled membership, and we're continuing to grow and grow and grow. Why Asia is so important is because what we're learning in Asia, we're taking over to Africa. And what we're learning on a global scale, we take to a local scale. What we learn on a local scale, we as Rotarians connect, and we take it to a global scale. So our vision is to take malaria to zero. And what we've learned is that Rotarians are an essential part of taking malaria tools that we learn and try out up to the global scale, and taking what we're learning in the global down to the local and making those connections. So we have today a group of people from India who are here. If we can get Durant, if Durant's voice will hold out, we'll have a report from him. We'll have a report on Nigeria from Jenny Kerrison, Dr. Jenny, who's in Hobart officially. We'll have a nice report from Kenya, where we have a group of 19 Rotarians. So shall we start with Duran? I won't introduce everybody because we may have as many as 100 people on here. I hope to get the official meeting done in about 25 minutes so that we can then talk some more and answer questions about all the other things. So India, what's happening in Africa, in Kenya right now, is Dr. Dan and the whole group are there. And Nigeria, some updates in Asia Pacific, and other items. So Duran, can you speak now? I'll turn this over to you.
You're on mute, Duran.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, and we realize it won't be a long report because of your voice. But you've sent a wonderful report, and you've been putting things in the chat. So is Duran getting off mute?
There we go.
All right, Duran.
Drake, I'm really sorry. I can't speak much because of my bad throat. Drake, you can continue. I'm on the job listening and chatting with you guys. Please continue, Drake.
Okay, great. I'll give a very brief review of what you sent me, which is a detailed plan for India. As we all know, as Rotarians, Rotary helped organize the campaigns to take polio completely out of India. Duran Dada and a whole group of other past district governors and other Rotarians there are organizing, and they have a very organized plan. The plan of India is to divide India into 4 categories to take malaria there to zero. The benefit there is that we build on what Rotarians are about, engage a lot of Rotarians, and show the world that we can take malaria away from out of a whole, like over 1 billion people in one fell swoop, which is absolutely fantastic. There are different categories in this. We'll be seeing a complete plan. The goal of the government is to take malaria to a zero status in under 4 years now. What we found in other places is that when Rotarians get involved, those goals, which are really aggressive goals, can actually happen. We need to have very clear standards. We need a lot of diligent, disciplined input there. So that's where we're planning to take India to a malaria-free status, and Rotarians will make the difference, working with the global partners, with the local partners, to get there. They're breaking it down state by state, and malaria is slightly different in India, but it's across a large population, and the risk in India is really high right now. But in 4 years from now, we'll be celebrating that there's no more malaria there. What we learn in India, we will take to other countries. In Africa, we're already taking the lessons to Africa, and to other Asian countries, where we can knock malaria out of a variety of countries. I was talking with Jenny this afternoon. We're taking malaria from out of very high population countries, and we have a number of countries that have low malaria that we're taking it out of completely. We'll send that list around, and in the interest of time, we'll have questions here. The first question that's coming to most Rotarians' minds on the board is, how can we give Drake a cold so he can not speak on so much on these meetings? So we'll be hearing more of that. I want to also point out and give a shout out to Noel Alidio. Dr. Noel is in the Philippines. He's our technical advisor in the cadre for malaria. So several board members are on this call because it's the executive board meeting and we've got this wonderful agenda. And I've spoken for 5 minutes, so that's enough for right now. The next report, Dan, would you like to do a report from Dan and Brennan and the other members from Kenya, since they're right there in Nairobi right now? I think you're in Nairobi. Over to you.
Okay, this is Dr. Dan Perlman, Vice Chair of RAM Global. I'm making room at the table for Alice Atimo, who is one of our Western Kenyan leaders.
That's right.
She is instrumental in allowing this program to move forward. I don't know if you can see her yet. But we have 19 Rotarians from, I believe, 7 or 8 states. We have some past district governors. We have some club presidents. We have some past district governors and past presidents. So we have a whole room full of people who are going around to different malaria projects. Last night, we had dinner with a malaria coordinator in the region. We met with some community health promoters, and we're having a very good time.
And we are not in Nairobi. We have moved on.
Oh, you've
We
moved
are-
on.
We are in Kakamega, Western
Oh,
Kenya.
marvelous. That was Alice.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone to the table want to say hello?
Everyone's waving. It's very early here.
It's very early. And yesterday you met with community healthcare workers, interviewed them on what their needs are, what their goals are, and how we might help them.
Yes.
Would you like to give a bullet point outline of ways we might help and what they're doing?
Yes, I interviewed we listened to all the community health workers, but I interviewed 2 separately so we could put information in our newsletter. And basically, they are in desperate need of everything from their stockouts in a huge way. So the tests, the medications, and you can fill in if you want. And then they also need to be able to get from village to village, the bicycles, they need gum boots. They need our support. They need funding so that they can be equipped to go out and fight they need to fight this.
Yeah, every community health worker or promoter are assigned 100 households, and the households are sparsely located. They are located sparsely from one household to the other, and they have to walk in the rains and in all weathers, and it's a lot of headache for them, especially without the stocks and without the working gears. So their main problem is that, and then they get they're supposed to be getting a stipend of about, is it $20? $20 being paid by USAID, but it rarely comes through. And when it does, it comes after a delay of 3 to 6 months.
So they get a payment of $20 and then they won't see anything for 3 to 6 months, but they still march on.
We met with 62 community health promoters yesterday. We asked them, when were you last paid? And they said last spring.
Oh my. We can do better.
Yes.
Yes,
Would you talk a bit about digitalization, which means they get cell phones? We hope to upgrade some of the cell phones. They can link it up, and what they would like to do and how they might use, say, cell phones.
right. So
To
in this particular
collect
case,
and upload info.
I have a question, if I can ask. They've gotten paid some months ago, but the money's supplied by USAID. So what's the holdup? Where's the money?
In the government of Kenya.
The government of Kenya, I know, when they stood tall and said they were going to make sure their community health workers were going to get paid, they stood tall at the
Yeah.
US.
September, they did that, right?
But the
But
people
they're
have not seen the money yet. So that's one concern that we have is how the money flows. And we gave the story about how MPI had sent $10,000 to Kenya last February and how it had to get recovered in May and how difficult it is to get funds to the village level.
Right, and to go back to Drake's point about digitalization, when I interviewed the people in this particular case, in this group of community health promoters, they have received some phones. The issue is that when you don't have the proper bandwidth and you have that's a real hardship. The way their phones are set up, this is what he said to me, the doctor, the way their phones are set up is the data gets put in, and if as they're putting it in, if you can't transmit it within maybe 3 or 4 hours, it's gone. It doesn't stay in the phone. So this is where the programming is totally off base because they can't transmit it. If they have to go back to somewhere where there's better bandwidth, they get there late at night, they don't have any data anymore, so they have to come back again. So that's a real issue.
So and then in that case, maybe the issue would be poor networks in the villages. So the phones may not be working right. But we didn't ask, here in Kenya, you have to buy credits. We don't pay per month. Very few people can afford to pay per month, but you buy credit and put it on your phone every time you want to do some work.
Right.
And we didn't ask whether they're given stipend or money for buying their credit for forwarding the messages, because if they're not given the money for that, then I don't even know how they'll be sending those messages.
Right. So it kind of takes you back to the beginning again, and the redundancy is terrible. It just doesn't help.
Okay, well, that's what we find when we go out and listen is we find situations that we hope can be solved. I know over in Zambia, Jim Moore, who's on the call, and others have said that they found that the phones didn't work, so they got a different variety of phone and then swapped them out. And from that point on, they used phones with different requirements, different memory and different things. So part of our function of being in country, being local, is that we listen, we talk to and listen to the workers, find out what the issues are, and then as Rotarians, use our connections to go solve them. So we hope RAM Global and others have provided phones in different places when the phones either were less than adequate or simply weren't in the grant. Over in Western Kenya, the West German government is doing a very large grant with a bunch of Rotarians. The Rotarians are leading that, and they ended up needing another 125 phones. So we helped buy the phones as RAM Global, and thank yous to the Aspen Club, if anybody's from the Aspen Club on that. So what other lessons are you learning so very quickly already in Kenya? You've only been there for a couple days, so hot damn, you're doing a great job. Another item or two from Kenya?
Well, I think we should wrap it up and let Jenny Carrison speak about what she's been doing in the Asia Pacific area, because I've talked to her a little bit about that. But we're going to be here for a few more days in Western Kenya. We are meeting with a community health group, promoter group, and we're going to be supplying them with 44 bicycles. We're going to be giving them t-shirts. We're going to be giving them gum boots. We're going to be giving them the equipment, backpacks, the equipment that they requested from us when we visited last year. So that's going to be a big celebration.
Marvelous. Well, thank you so much. And thanks to all of the donors. You're doing like 3 day-long pop-up clinics in different communities. So
Yes.
Jenny, are you here? I haven't seen you on this. Anytime we can get a few words from Jenny. And
Yes, sorry.
Hi,
I'd
Jenny.
like to show. Hi, everyone. Good to see the Australians and, of course, our friends overseas. So I've been working on behalf of RAM Global RAM Global in Nigeria, which is a country I really don't know much about, but slowly getting to know it. So Rotary Australia has a new grant called Rotary Healthy Communities Challenge for 4 countries only. And these countries have one of the highest malaria cases. And they've got like $30 million with the help of Gates Foundation and World Vision. So Nigeria was allocated around 9 million. And to those who are from Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa, my apologies, I really don't know the country. I'm helping with the writing up, and we've got a technical consultant hired by the Nigeria RHCC committee. If I may quickly use the share screen. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I think what have we got here? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Right. Yeah. So we'll just do. What have we got? I can't see. But anyway, I can't see the.
Okay, it shows up on my screen. We got the first slide, and then you've got the whole program on the side.
Oh yeah, here you go. Here you go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we've seen increase. So this is based on WHO World Malaria Report, and anyone serious about malaria should look into this. It comes out November every year, and excellent report. Yeah, so Nigeria, Uganda, Papua New Guinea has had increases in 2022. So they report 1 year. So it's not 2023, but 2022 data. Unfortunately, we have got RAM PNG in PNG, and unfortunately they've had some issues there. So I'm not reporting in Southeast Asia. I just put this in just to share with everyone that we really in our region. So I'm in Australia. We have, you know, relatively few cases in contrast to Sub-Saharan. And I know Larry Granite always reminds us that yes, we don't have very many cases at all, but India accounted for a lot of cases in the region. So quickly, Nigeria, just to share with you in regards, you know, a huge country, as those who are from there would obviously know. It contributes, Nigeria, the country itself contributes like 27% of the world's malaria So it's huge. Now, when you look at this, microscopy is the gold standard for testing, and you know, that's not a lot at all. And also RDTs, rapid diagnostic test. Yeah, the incidence is high, 306. So when we look at West Timor, where RAM Australia is helping, the incidence, what would it be at any one time? Less than 1, I think. I'll have to look it up again. And this access to insecticide-treated mosquito nets or long-lasting insecticidal nets, 43%. So I don't know what AMP is doing, Drake. I'm not sure whether the nets are not getting out. So Drake Zimmerman, the chair for RAM Global, is also on the board for AMP. Now, Drake, help me. What is it again? Alliance?
Oh, the Alliance for Malaria Prevention. I'll put it in the chat. Alliance for Malaria Prevention.com. They
deal mainly with nets. Great.
They're focused on nets, and nets get us a long way towards that. What we as Rotarians have discovered is that we need to do other interventions like Jenny's about to tell us about. Drake, over.
Right. Okay. Population sleeping under nets the night before survey. I mean, look, 36% doesn't pass at all, unfortunately. So, you know, there are logistical issues, nets not accessible, too hot, that sort of thing. So children under 5, huge under 5 mortality rate. And again, you see that it's very low. So yeah, anyway, moving along. So this is the project that Rotary International has introduced end of last year, 4 countries. And I think MPI, and I know there's several MPI members here. They are helping with, I think, Mozambique. Anyway, so 4 countries, the Congo, Mozambique, Nigeria. What's the other one? Can't remember. Anyway.
Zambia.
Which one?
Zambia.
Zambia. Again, I don't know whether Zambia is continuing. Zambia was program of scale. That was 6 million, 2 from Rotary International, 2 from Gates, and 2 from World Vision. So that was program of scale. I don't think they've been awarded the HCC grant. But anyway.
They have been. They are one of the 5.
Oh, hi, Jim. Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, that's fantastic.
We have been awarded.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So with the Nigeria, with RHCC, the focus is integrated community case management. As for the program of scale, but in Zambia, they only focused on malaria. And I think other partners took on other aspects. So integrated community case management is their focus. The program focuses on three childhood illnesses: malaria, pneumonia, and diarrhea. So as I understand it, the Zambia program of scale focused on malaria only. And it was also noted in the evaluation that ICCM will not help in malaria elimination, because I guess you've got, unless you work very closely with other parts of the big jigsaw puzzle, you know, you've got surveillance, then you've got, there is a really important process called epidemiological investigations, whereby when a case is detected, there is a process of investigation within a time frame. In China, they went for 7 days. In Indonesia, 5 days. And I think at Timor-Leste, all the investigations, including entomological surveys, must be completed within 10 days. So very strict, very focused, very targeted. Yeah, so absolutely organized. And that's the way that Timor-Leste, as I understand, over the last 15 years, has gone to zero within that 15 years. Yeah, so very exciting. The RHCC funded ICCM program will be implemented in the Federal Capital City in Nigeria, and 2 LGAs have been selected. They're now doing data collection, community assessment, and you know, scale up will happen later. So about $9 million. I think that's all. I've got stuff for Solomon Islands, but that's Bruce's part, so I might stop here. There is a nice video, Bruce, if you want me to show it for Solomon Islands, happy to do that. Thank you. So in terms of malaria elimination, so a country goes to control when there are so many cases you can't possibly eliminate. So you've got to get the cases down really, really low, like 1 per 1,000, you know, annual parasite incidents. Then you can, because they'll be overwhelmed when the numbers are so high. And like in West Timor, you know, they have to, you have to stratify, you have to know where the cases are. You have to stratify by cases, by numbers, and it's very targeted. So malaria, when it comes to elimination stage, it's very heterogeneous. So it will be distributed hotspots randomly, in a sense. Yeah, and so control, you can't do every single case. You can't track every single case because you're overwhelmed. Bed nets, critical to bringing malaria down. IRS, indoor residual spraying, is okay, is second in line to control mosquito numbers, but it's not first in line because it's so expensive. So bed nets, IRS, get your numbers down. You got to test, treat, track, you know, test every single case. And that's what the ICCM model is. They will train community health workers, as they did in Zambia, to go to homes and visit households, test the children, treat on the spot, and then track and hopefully follow up. And if the numbers are small enough and they're not overwhelmed, they need to be going out and find the cases 2 to 2.5 kilometers radius from the index case. That's how you find the enemy. So thank you very much, everyone.
All right, Jenny, thank you so much for this quick summary. What you did there and you described is that you take it down step by step, put in nets, take it down 30 to 50 to 70%, add the insecticide residual spraying to knock the rates down more, do community cleanup. Once the malaria is down to a really large area, then you make sure the community healthcare workers are there and trained to test every fever, treat those that are malaria, and then track it down. We know about contact tracing with COVID, so we have something to thank COVID for. And I see in the chat that the community healthcare workers are critical to malaria. So well done, Jenny. Thank you so much. We've already gone through the main points here. I want to very briefly mention that in Singapore, there's going to be a booth of malaria. And then again, in 2025, a significant 2-day Congress where we hope to be celebrating zero malaria in a few countries, and the scale up of malaria in Nigeria, and tying a bunch of the connections in Zambia, dealing with the Democratic Republic of Congo and then Mozambique as the 4 large Rotary programs that are going on. So I'd like to open it up now with questions and any other points that people want to make here. So thank you for joining, everyone. We've got people from all around the world. So I see, Adriana Lenting on there. She was the chair of Malaria Partners International. It used to be a Rotary organized group. It is a Rotary organized group. I'm on the board. It was Rotarian Malaria Partners, formed as a super club project out of the Seattle Club. They connected with a couple little foundations there. Gates is one, World Vision is another, to do these marvelous programs. So Adriana, would you like to give us a brief introduction to Malaria Partners International?
Well, I think you.
Conrad wants to speak too, out of Germany. So
I think
Adriana and Conrad.
I think you just did, and thank you for that, Drake. Really getting excited about starting to plan for the Malaria Congress in Calgary. Working on that, also working on supporting countries that are with the Rotary Healthy Communities Challenge, specifically Zambia, DRC, Mozambique. And I know you guys are working with the folks in Nigeria, so kudos to you. I think that's about it. We're like I said, we're getting really excited about the event in Calgary. Looking forward to seeing everybody in Singapore, and really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, this is great. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Conrad on here. He's been working with the German clubs, active in Tanzania and Zimbabwe and elsewhere. Conrad, would you like to say a few words?
I'm calling from Berlin in Germany. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here.
Hey.
That is a problem for many of the African countries as well, like Nigeria or the West African countries. It's just early in the morning. Therefore, I think Alois is not on as well. I want to report about his projects in Tanzania. Alois just completed a project which we sponsored from German money in the south of Tanzania, in the Lindi district. And we'll get a report from him very soon. And he told me that the project worked very well. Now, our German money is almost spent, which I collected with the German clubs, because it was $17,000 US. Now we have the big offer from BASF. They offered us to get 33,500 nets for $1 a piece at Harbor Dar es Salaam. Now we need at least $35,000 to $40,000 to get that project done. So I can only encourage everybody to collect the money so that we can have them shipped to Dar es Salaam, so that Alois, the Rotaractors and Rotarians in Tanzania can get started with that project. Maybe, Drake, you have proposals how we can get that money very soon, because the project was delayed for 4 years. 4 years ago, we started on that big one. But with the shipping problems in the world market, BASF was not able to ship those nets. Now they come from Shanghai directly to Dar es Salaam. I repeat, it's only $1 a piece at the harbor.
Oh, this is marvelous. Yes, that we have this. These are the top rated nets, the BASF nets. They have dual insecticides. They're extremely highly rated. And we are advertising RAM Global as taking the message to all of the presidents-elect training seminars. In the US, we're directly going to 10 of the 20 different multi-district president-elects training seminars. And we're setting up promotional places where clubs and districts can get on the RAM Global website, find out about this project, and donate. Donate by supporting it. And we want to invite everybody to join RAM Global. It is free. Our membership numbers are really important because more people learn about malaria, And we show Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation how broad and deep our projects are. We have several successful projects. We have individuals and districts and clubs. We've got this long history of successful projects. It has been Rotarians that have solved these problems, just as is going on in Tanzania. We're putting in nets that attracts the attention of the government. Then we add training, etc. So we're doing very concrete local things with this broad scope. We also have joining us Di Mason. Is it Di? Di, you are on from Australia, and would you have something to join it? I can only see a couple pictures here. Thank you,
Yeah,
Conrad.
sure. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, good to catch up with everyone. I think one of the things we're experiencing in Australia at the moment is that with the heavy rains that we've had, we're getting a lot more mosquitoes, and we're likely to get Ross River fever. Now, that's a start, Ross River fever. Who knows? It might be a malaria mosquito that comes in as well. So we're all going to be fairly cautious about that. One of the things I've been doing is working with the Global Fund to raise money for the Western Pacific Rim to get that sort of malaria free. I think some of the things, PNG's increased in the last 2 years, increased by 38%. Solomon Islands, 20%, Vanuatu, 253% in terms of malaria cases, etc. So raising the funds to help these areas is pretty well important. One of the things that we've initiated here in Australia this year is the March Against Malaria, which hopefully the clubs throughout Australia this year will have a little march for malaria and raise some funds, obviously, to go towards eliminating malaria. Now, I'm working on with Drake in relation with RAM Global to do this on a worldwide basis at some stage, so that any funds that come in can be used directly with, against elimination of malaria. One of the other things too is, apart from the fact that I'm on the board of RAM Global and the executive, I'm also on the Malaria Vaccine Project Committee down at the Gold Coast. This is through the Griffith University, the Institute for Glycomics, and Professor Michael Good's been working on a whole parasite vaccine, and they're likely to go into phase 1 trials probably very soon, a couple of months, I would say. They had to go through a lot of toxicology and things like this. So there may be another very important vaccine coming on the market in a couple of years' time. Obviously, certainly when they go into phase 2, they'll have to go into an endemic country. That's about it, I think, from me in a sense. But look, where we could raise funds and eliminate malaria, go for a walk, have a march, raise some funds that way. And if anyone wants to know, you can get this on Finish the Fight website. And also, if anyone wants to know, they can actually contact me and I'll let you know what's going on. But basically, we're doing it in Australia this year, and hopefully it'll keep on going every year. Individual clubs, so they can get out there, work with their community. Perhaps they can even get some new members from the fact that they're doing out there with the community. And so then they can also raise some funds for malaria. But hopefully next year, they will actually go in worldwide. But we've got a few issues in terms of branding and things like this to overcome with Rotary, but that's okay. We'll work on that one, and particularly with the RAM Global. I think that's about as much I want to say at this point in time, Drake, and thank you for the opportunity.
Di, this is great. It's so wonderful. We have a couple other, we have another report from Bruce, the chair of RAM Australia. We call it RAM Australia. It's really the original Rotarians Against Malaria. Bruce Anderson is the chair. And Bruce, if you would come off, I can't see all the hands that are going up, but I'm sure that RAM Australia, which has a focus on 5 countries, there's got to be some wonderful points there. Jenny and Di have also been very active over there. So over to you, Bruce.
Yes, well, thank you, Drake. I didn't actually come prepared to make any remarks. My job, really, as chair of the RAM National Committee in Australia, is to try to make sure all of our different country coordinators and regional coordinators and district coordinators keep up to date with everything going on, and more importantly, keep in touch with the members and the clubs so that we can get more money rolling in to help us in the 5 countries we work in. In terms of the technical direction of the projects in each of the countries, definitely leave a lot of that to people like Jenny Kerrison that you've already heard about before. And there are others on the screen that have been involved in volunteer teams before, such as Andrea Grosvenor and so on, I think is currently a district governor. So really, my job is more management rather than trying to direct the technicalities of what we do. And we have found that there has been a shortfall in regular donations coming in from members and clubs throughout the COVID period. And we just have to work on rebuilding all of those linkages to get those donations back on track. RAM Australia did manage under Jenny's leadership to keep a lot of emphasis going on malaria eradication during COVID with various global grants and these initiatives with RAM Global and others. So it's really just resetting it now and get more involvement with clubs and members and districts. And as the restrictions, the travel restrictions for COVID wear off, and we're wanting to send more and more volunteer teams across to our partner countries, we would hopefully get back to the direct member involvement in malaria elimination that we're able to do before we all went into isolation with COVID. So I'm fairly much just trying to put the house back in order. But meanwhile, I let Jenny and others keep doing their very good work around our countries.
Yes, that is wonderful. It's a great report. It's great to see you, and all of a lot of the work, all of the work you've done in Australia shows us how to organize the Rotarians. You've had as many as 20 districts involved at one time, depending on how the redistricting within Rotary goes, but you have like 20 districts supporting with individual district coordinators, coordinating donations and participating in the grants that are run by brains like Jenny Kerrison. She just winced when I said brains and Jenny. So I apologize, Jenny, but she does just such fabulous work. So thank you for all your leadership. And PNG still has pretty close to the best data and the longest data, at least 20 years worth of specific data where every net has gone in the entire country. And it's been logistically one of the hardest ever going. Speaking of logistically difficult, over in Indonesia, where a lot of the work has been, do we have District Governor Irwan on here? I don't know if he's still in the group here, but they're doing such great innovative work over in Indonesia, which is a really difficult area where they're doing it. So I don't see him in the list here. Who else would like to have a quick rundown or a report? I can't see all the hands, so please either speak up, or Catherine, if you'd give us a hand.
Some before didn't speak, so I don't know if they'd like to speak now.
Okay, you broke up there. Who is this?
Lucy Kasango, hands up before.
All right, Lucy, would you like to take a minute or two?
Got a question, maybe?
You have a question?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. We have
Thank
David
you.
Hurst.
I just wanted to perhaps say, my name is Lokel. Short introduction. My name is Lucy Kasanga, and I serve on the End Malaria Campaign Council in Zambia, representing the Rotarians. And I'd like to just say that most of the things you felt that we are only focusing on malaria. I just wanted to add and say, while yes, the malaria program tends to focus on malaria alone, but the Polio Plus program does a lot more to cover all the other community diseases that perhaps malaria program doesn't touch. And the ideal situation is what Adrian said, that's why I dropped my hand, is that we are now integrating but we are not beginning from nowhere, because the Polio Plus program in Zambia is so well attuned. We needed expert people in the field, and they do go in the field. The contact tracing that you talked about as a result of COVID, it's not so for us in sub-Saharan Africa, in particular for those countries that have an active polio program, because contact tracing has been perfected by the polio program. And therefore, the idea of integrating this, I think, will maximize and leverage the strengths that already exist in our community. In Zambia, you'll find that we have groups that focus on HIV and AIDS from end to beginning. We have groups that focus on mothers, safe motherhood, and they are all community-based. So the idea is to bring everybody together, leverage on our strength and our expertise, as well as utilize the funds as effectively as we can, and we can cover more. So I can tell you, all the other diseases have been well articulated under polio, to the point where this country is zoned to every part of it. And now the good news is that all our 8 neighboring countries are working with us on this program. And I think exciting times lie ahead. And as you know, we just rolled out the 11 million treated mates that came from the Global Fund. And I can assure you, we are keeping an eye on that. And there's a monthly report as where we are in Zambia. So we are up to date. Thank you.
Oh, this is fabulous. This is so exciting to hear. I see on the call, there are other, Lucy, there are other Rotary Action Groups that are active in many of the countries. We partner with them in Nigeria. They've been very active in Zambia. I see Dr. Patrick Coleman on there, another PDG from Zambia, where even my district has done water projects with them in the past. So as you say, bringing them together, we're bringing the other action groups together to work there. Adriana Lenting is the immediate past chair of the Malaria Partners International. Would you have something that you can add?
Yeah, I've had the good fortune to know Lucy for a while now. And what she's not telling you is that she has been there from the very start, starting all these programs, and really involved with the program scale. And she's been, at Patrick Chisanga's side the whole time, really supporting this Rotary Healthy Communities Challenge. Lucy is so involved, and she's so modest that she doesn't tell you about it. But she, I remember taking a long bus ride with her, to Ndola. And I got to say, Lucy is, it's not only, when she talks about it, she's the program that she's talking about is not just for malaria. It's the ICCM, it's the diarrheal, the respiratory, all that kind of stuff. And Lucy was very important in implementing all that stuff and making sure that that program at scale happened. So she doesn't say that, but I just want to say that about her. So thank you, Lucy, and it's great to have her here.
Thank you so much, Adriana, for giving us that background. I know Jim Moore is wanting to jump in and say essentially the same thing on all the support and how we can integrate it. One of the things that we're looking at hard is the stockouts of rapid diagnostic test, ACTs, to treat the malaria that's there when it's tested. And then adding to that the oral rehydration salts in the various countries. We want to make sure that there's a complete adequate supply of these really low cost interventions for diarrheal diseases that are local major solutions to lower the deaths of that. We partner with the water people, water and sanitation, to lower the root causes of diarrheal. diseases. So as Rotarians, we view the larger global viewpoint. If we can prevent diseases, our dollars go a lot farther. And as a Rotarian, I'm cheap, so I want my dollars to go farther because we're using our own money and we're using the money of other folks. So in Nepal, we see some comments there. Duran has something. Duran has been instrumental in raising several hundred members in India. I think it is the first or second most populous country, not just in people, but also in RAM Global members. So the Nepal is close to getting to zero malaria. And I know his throat is going, and you don't want to listen to me. So in Nepal, they're doing this great program of getting the awareness, and then we're adding the resources there. So we'll be hearing more about Nepal there. Catherine, do you see any other hands that are up for people who would like to speak with us?
No.
Does Timor have something?
Or have something?
No, I
Oh,
think everything's
yeah.
been covered from my standpoint vis-a-vis Zambia. But
Outstanding, Jim.
thank you. I won't take other people's time.
Mm-hmm. Well, please get your clubs and districts to join RAM Global and to take the word about malaria, about how we're using malaria as the gateway to build systems and to build involvement to create health in these communities. I love the name of this new initiative that Rotary put out. It's Rotary, Gates Foundation, and World Vision, the Healthy Communities Initiative. Because when we go in for malaria, that's the first one. We also do diarrheal diseases, as Lucy just described, respiratory diseases, and so much more. So thank you so much for everybody. This would be the only meeting that I've ever run with this many people that comes in under an hour. What else would you like to add to this? Is there anybody? The next steps: join Rotary, get your district involved to do a project and to join like the Western Kenya, the Western Alliance for Kenyans Against Malaria, the WACM grant, where we have a whole districts that we have. The call to action is that we have the solutions for malaria. It is Rotarians that help connect everybody up. Pardon, what was that? You broke up, Catherine.
Someone.
Okay. So
You can continue.
thank you so much for everybody joining. We really appreciate this, for you getting up so early in the morning. Have a great trip in Kenya. We look forward to more reports. Nice to see you, Regina. Gina, good to see you. So
I'm in
I'm from the state of
Carbondale.
Iowa.
I'm in Carbondale, just a bit south of you. But great to hear reports from everybody and seeing all the progress and all of the work that's happening at the community level. It's great. Thank you.
Excellent. Yes. Well, we're looking to scale it up across Western Kenya, across Nigeria, adding the resources and making those connections, which we as Rotarians are so good at doing. So what do Rotarians add? It may be a little bit of money, but it's mostly about making those connections, seeing what isn't being done, and then adding that little extra, introducing people to each other to make things work. So thank you so much for everything. It is important to work with governments, work with the other Rotarians action groups, work with the communities. If we aren't working with the communities, the work will not be sustainable. But we are global everywhere, we are local everywhere, which is one of the huge beauties of Rotary. So I want to say thank you to Rotary and the Rotarians who worked on polio, because it is exactly on that polio infrastructure that we have built all of this. And how many Rotarians have thought, as we all have, why doesn't Rotary do something with that network of people and the network of ideas so that we can have this positive influence on the world beyond polio? So malaria is a plus of polio plus. thank you so much for all of your help. I want to say good night. And if there's anything else you want, feel free to contact me, drakesum@gmail.com. Get on the Rotary, on the RAM Global website, add your connections, get your, everybody. We've tripled membership. We've tripled, more than tripled what we've been doing, the money that we're deploying, and we're getting it really coordinated with RAM Australia that you've seen, RAM Global, Malaria Partners International, and we're making things happen in many, many countries, whole countries that are, it's just way too exciting. So right now it's time for those in the Midwest to go to bed. So thanks, everybody. We really, really appreciate you joining. Hey, Hank.
Yeah, my best to those who are in Kenya. And just look at the power of the relationship spread that can go because of that little special trip.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
Let's go
and
ahead
thanks
see
to
if we
Jenny,
can-
because she took it to 0. Yeah.
Yes.
And we're taking those methods over to Western Kenya, where it was high like it was in Timor-Leste, and in a dozen years it went to 0. So great reminder, Hank, and great reminder there. Wonderful to see you, Ahmed. Great to see you, Duran. Get well soon with your throat.
Yeah, Duran, thank you very much for all
everybody.
your work
Yes.
in India to multiply the membership there. Really good work. I miss seeing you, and but we'll meet up again.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And we're happy to make the website and more meetings even more informative. There's a great meeting on Zambia coming up at the end of the month on the 29th. There'll be information on the Rotary website for that. It talks about coordinating the groups to make the community healthcare workers even more effective. Thanks to all the people at MPI who are making the grant to refresher training that RAM Global and Rotary District 649 and all those other districts have participated in. They're retraining 501 community healthcare workers in Zambia. And that's starting probably next month. It might be by the end of this month. So thanks again. Good night to all.